All right, guys, I know I've been saying it for a while now that the ESPN era has started, and it has here in 2019 with the UFC and ESPN being in business together for the next few years. But now they're going on Big ESPN. I'm talking the main card on Big ESPN. We used to call them Big Fox cards for like the last 6 or 7 years. Now it's going to be a Big ESPN card, and they got themselves a doozy. Now let me clarify. This thing goes down on Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday. So gotta adjust, make your plans, go out Friday, Saturday, have some fun, but come back and lock yourself down on Sunday for ESPN on UFC on ESPN 1. It involves Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez in the main event. It's the return of Cain. What is it, 2.5 years, guys, since he was just destroying Travis Brown and looking as good as he's ever looked at UFC 200. Big man hasn't been back since then, and now he comes back to another big man in Francis Ngannou, who looked great in his last fight. The one before that, not so great. You don't know what Ngannou you're going to get, but I think Ngannou was able to shed a lot in that Curtis Blades win. So I'm expecting the best Ngannou. So let's go with the best case scenario for both guys. We know Cain Velasquez just never sucks, right? Cain Velasquez is your favorite, by the way, at -170 or so. Ngannou comes back at about +145. Hit it, Dan. Who do you like?
You know, those odds are pretty correct. I can see that there's arguments maybe Cain should be heavierly favored. That's not even a word, but it is a heavyweight fight, folks. So it pretty much means it's a coin flip is what I'm trying to say. And people were talking about Ngannou. Can he overcome, the hurdle that he saw stylistically in the Stipe Miocic fight? He had a lackluster fight against Derek Lewis, and of course he shows he can come back against that matchup, albeit for what was it, 45, 46 seconds against Curtis Blades, beating him again, granted, more decisively second time around, granted, but we still haven't seen that much from him. Now, all reports are he's back with his coach Ferdinand, and they've reestablished their connection in France. And I really hate to stereotype an MMA guys. I mean, we've seen the tropes even now that you can't throw out those tropes against English fighters not being able to wrestle, or Europeans. For example, up in Sweden at All Stars, there's some heavier weight fighters like Gustafsson, Latifi that produce some really good wrestlers, right? I think they're breaking that stereotype. So I don't want to lean on that or take a shot at the Europeans, but I have a hard time still seeing France being strong as far as bodies for Ngannou to work with, finding bodies there that are heavyweights, much less wrestlers. So I'm not sure about how much skill gap he's going to close. Is it going to come down to him landing that proverbial shot? And I think it will, except I don't think it'll look like a Stipe Miocic Ngannou if you're a Cain Velasquez supporter, which I'm tipping my hand here. I think it's going to look more like a flashback matchup to Czech Congo versus Cain Velasquez. This is scheduled for 5 rounds.
Oh, in Germany, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to go there, but
twice,
yeah, once in the first, once in the second. By the time the third, the wrestling, the fatigue, the attrition kicked in, and Cain Velasquez was able to continue to pull away what was a dominant performance otherwise. I think we see the same thing here. Sure, all you need is one, not even completely flush moment from Ngannou for him to win the fight, sure. But I do think he'll have moments and scares. I don't think they will be enough to take Cain off of his game. He will find his rhythm if this fight gets out of the first round, and I got Velasquez here, guys.
All right, so when we had Israel Adesanya on, one of you guys, he made it a point. Maybe it was a press conference, I don't know. But he said that Anderson Silva to him, it felt like Anderson Silva was a little rusty in round 1, but in round 2, he came out of it. That's what I'm expecting out of Cain. I think Cain's going to be an animal, but it's going to take maybe not the whole 5 minutes, because Cain is just on another planet when it comes into putting in the work. And that's those scary 3 minutes where Ngannou can just throw his hands and just decapitate anybody, So my pick is Cain to grind out a decision, more than likely. Just play it safe, avoid the hands of Ngannou. But I think that first round is going to be really, really exciting. I think Ngannou may have some moments. Luckily, Cain does have a chin that holds up, but I still think Cain will prevail, and I think he'll be able to either pound his way like in the third, or just win a decision. But I do expect a solid fight. How about you guys?
Well, I think if you look at Cain Velasquez's record, you can find people like Francis Ngannou that he's fought before, taken some of their best shots and come out victorious. If you go on the other side and you look at Francis Ngannou, I'm just not so sure. You get close with Stipe, but I don't know that you find somebody that can blend everything the way Cain Velasquez can and just keep coming and coming. He really is a nightmare of a fighter, and he's had some of these breaks before, where he's come back and shown that he can do that. So I'm going to trust in Cain Velasquez here in this fight. I just think it's a bad matchup, so I'm going to take Cain Velasquez.
It should be a great one on big ESPN. The ESPN era has begun already, but they're going to take it to a new level. I cannot wait for Sunday. Remember, Sunday is when the fight goes down out in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's your main event breakdown, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Keep you locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend.